In this video I am going to tell 10 ways to have better conversation. Tip number 1. Don't multitask, be present, be in that moment. Celeste explains, don't think about your argument you had with your boss. Don't think about what you're going to have for dinner. Tip number 2. Don't pontificate. You need to enter every conversation assuming that you have something to learn. Celeste highlights, sometimes that means setting aside your personal opinion. Tip number 3. Use open-ended questions. Celeste recommends avoiding very closed-ended questions which could be answered with a simple yes or no. Instead, try asking them things like, what was that like? Tip number 4. Go with the flow. Thoughts will come into your mind and you need to let them go out of your mind. By learning to let your thoughts go and go with the flow, you will be much better at adapting to how the conversation is going. Tip number 5. If you don't know, say you don't know. People appreciate vulnerability and honesty, and it should always be the foundation of a good conversation. Understand it's perfectly fine not to know something, and people do not expect you to know everything. Tip number 6. Don't equate your experience with theirs. If they're talking about trouble they're having at work, don't tell them about how much you hate your job. Celeste says it's not the same. It is never the same. All experiences are individual. Tip number 7. Try not to repeat yourself. If you do feel like you have a tendency to ramble, try to turn the conversation back to the other person. Open the door for them to speak about their experiences in more detail. Tip number 8. Stay out of the weeds when recounting experiences or stories. Try to focus more on what happened rather than the specifics. You are not being tested on this. The other person just wants to learn more about you. Tip number 9. Listen. The most important thing to remember is you are listening to understand, not just to reply. Tip number 10. Be brief. Just get to the point. Don't over-explain. Are you giving them too much information that they don't need to know? Say what you need to say, then stop talking and listen to what the other person has to say. That's it for this video. For more such informative content, kindly like, share and subscribe.